Hello, my friends. I'm so grateful to welcome you here on Breath Journey. This is a space where we return to our breath, to our heart, and to the peace that has always been within us. Many of us, especially as we step into our 40s, 50s, or 60s, realize that life has given us countless experiences, joys, and challenges. And yet one thing seems to remain the same. The mind never stops. Have you ever lain down at night, your body exhausted, but your mind still racing like a machine that has no switch? Worries about tomorrow, regrets about yesterday, thoughts of what you should or shouldn't have done. The mind keeps producing wave after wave of thought, and sometimes it makes us believe we are trapped in that cycle forever. But what I want to share with you today, drawing from more than 3 decades of guiding meditation, is this. You are not your thoughts. You are the observer. Thoughts are just like clouds passing across the sky. They come and go, but the sky itself, your vast, peaceful awareness, remains unchanged. Neuroscientists call this constant activity in the brain the default mode network. It is most active when we are doing nothing in particular, remembering the past, worrying about the future, spinning countless scenarios. That's why our minds rarely feel quiet. But research also shows that when we bring attention to the breath, simply inhaling and exhaling mindfully, the default mode network begins to calm down. The brain shifts into a state of rest and recovery. What the Buddha taught more than 2,500 years ago, that mindful breathing is the key to peace, science now confirms. I remember one of my students, a woman in her late 50s. She once told me, "Teacher, I can't sleep. I've tried medicine, music, yoga, but my mind just won't stop." But when she learned to observe her thoughts as clouds drifting by and to practice slow, mindful breathing, something changed. At first, she still couldn't sleep through the night, but she no longer feared the long hours of wakefulness. After a few weeks, she was sleeping more deeply, and after a few months, she said, with tears in her eyes, "For the first time in years, I slept peacefully without medication, just with my own breath." That is the power of shifting from fear to presence. We also spoke about letting go of control. I told her, "You don't need to force life to follow your plan. Life has its own rhythm. Trust that rhythm, and you'll discover a new kind of freedom." And she did. She stopped trying to manage every little thing, and to her surprise, her days flowed more smoothly. Modern science agrees. When we stop clinging and begin to accept, serotonin and endorphins rise in the brain. We become calmer, clearer, and wiser in our decisions. Another foundation I shared with her was gratitude. Neuroscience calls it neuroplasticity. The brain rewires itself in response to where we place our attention. When we end each day by recalling just 3 small things we're grateful for, a smile, a meal, a gentle sunset, the brain starts building pathways of joy instead of anxiety. And then there is simplicity. In a world that tells us more is better, simplicity whispers the opposite truth. Less clutter means more peace. Even physics reminds us, energy flows most freely through space. The same is true for the mind. Sometimes I also invite my students simply to step outside, to walk under the trees, to listen to the wind, to watch the sky shift at dusk. Nature has a way of resetting us, teaching us through silence that all things change and we don't need to control every turn. All of these practices, observing thoughts, mindful breathing, gratitude, compassion, simplicity, single tasking, letting go of control, and spending time in stillness and in nature, are not lofty theories. They are everyday doorways to peace. And I want to remind you, peace is not something far away. It is not something you must chase. It is already within you, like the sun that shines steadily behind the clouds. Our practice is simply to let the clouds drift, so that the light may shine again. Welcome to Breath Journey. If you are seeking a place to breathe, to listen, and to truly live each moment, you have found your home. Sit with me now, let the noise of the world fall away for a while, and let's step together into this journey, one breath at a time. In the previous part, we opened 10 gateways into inner peace. Now I want to walk with you a little deeper, not through theory or heavy philosophy, but through living experience. Simple examples you can carry into your everyday life. And let's begin with something so simple, yet so powerful, that it has been called the bridge between body and mind, the breath. 1. The breath. The bridge between body and mind. Breath is perhaps our most loyal companion. From the moment we were born until the moment we leave this world, it has never once abandoned us. And yet, strangely, we forget about it most of our lives. We breathe shallowly, hurriedly, as if we're constantly running out of time. Scientists have shown that when we slow down our breathing, deep, steady inhalations and exhalations, we activate the parasympathetic nervous system. This is the body's rest and restore mode. It lowers the heart rate, steadies blood pressure, and guides the whole system into balance. In Japan, it's called ikigai breathing. In India, pranayama. In Buddhism, it's simply mindful breathing. I often guide my students like this. Inhale to the count of 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, pause for 4, then repeat. And something remarkable happens. The storm of thoughts begins to quiet, like ripples settling on a still lake. 2. Becoming the observer, changing your relationship with thoughts. When I was young, I believed that every thought in my head was true. But over years of practice, and through learning about the brain, I realized thoughts are just electrochemical signals. They're like flashes of lightning, here and gone in an instant. Neuroscientists estimate we generate about 60,000 thoughts each day. If all of them were me, we'd be nothing but chaos. But the truth is, we are not the thoughts. We are the sky in which the thoughts appear and disappear. When you shift from saying, I am anxious, to I notice anxiety arising in my mind, you create space. And in that space lies freedom. That distance allows peace to begin growing like a seed. 3. Simplicity, creating room for peace. I once visited a student whose home was packed wall to wall with belongings, old souvenirs, endless decorations, piles of papers. She said, every time I walk into this house, I feel trapped. I can't rest. We often believe that holding on to more gives us security, but often it weighs us down. When she finally began to clear things out, to keep only what mattered, she discovered a surprising lightness. Psychologists call this the decluttering effect. When the outer space is orderly, the inner space of the mind clears as well. Simplicity is not about losing. It's about gaining room for clarity, for stillness, for joy. 4. Gratitude and compassion, nourishment for the soul. Each night before sleep, I write down 3 small things I'm grateful for. A smile from a student, a cup of warm tea, the glow of moonlight through my window. These may seem minor, but over time they change the wiring of the brain. Science shows gratitude activates brain regions linked to happiness and satisfaction, and compassion meditation, offering loving kindness to yourself first, then to others, triggers the release of oxytocin, the bonding hormone. It softens the heart, reduces stress, and even boosts immunity. One student once told me, I can't forgive the one who hurt me. I encouraged her, start with yourself. Say, may I be at peace. May I be healed. Repeat it gently. Over time, your heart will grow spacious enough to extend that wish to others, even to the one who hurt you. A year later, she came back to me with tears, saying her heart finally felt light again. 5. Letting go of control, trusting life's natural rhythm. In my younger years, I tried to control everything: work, relationships, even the weather of my own moods. But life kept teaching me, control is an illusion. Life is more like a river, always moving, never the same twice. Quantum physics suggests that particles exist in probabilities until observed, meaning uncertainty is woven into the fabric of reality itself. This uncertainty isn't a flaw, it's what makes life dynamic and beautiful. So when we let go of forcing life into our narrow expectations, we open ourselves to its greater wisdom. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Try asking, what is this teaching me? That simple shift transforms struggle into understanding. 6. One thing at a time, slowing down to live more deeply today. Many people pride themselves on multitasking, but the brain isn't truly built for it. Instead, it rapidly switches between tasks, draining energy and scattering focus. Studies show chronic multitasking can shrink short-term memory and raise cortisol, the stress hormone. In contrast, single tasking, being fully present with one thing, boosts dopamine and improves performance. So when you eat, just eat. When you walk, just walk. When someone speaks, listen with your whole attention. This presence is the greatest gift you can give yourself and those you love. 7. Stillness, the soil where wisdom grows. Above all, remember, peace does not come from doing more. It comes from pausing. Each day, take 5 minutes to sit quietly, close your eyes, breathe deeply, and let the mind rest. Brain scans show that even 8 weeks of meditation can physically reshape the brain, thickening the hippocampus, which supports memory and emotion, and shrinking the amygdala, which fuels fear and anxiety. Stillness isn't about escaping life. It's about experiencing it more fully, with clarity and presence. So you see, these practices are not lofty theories. They are small living steps you can take right now. A breath, a pause, a simple act of gratitude. And in the next part, I want to share with you real stories from my students, ordinary people who transform their lives by living these practices. My hope is that you'll see yourself in them and discover the inspiration to begin your own journey. You know, after so many years of guiding meditation, what brings me the deepest joy is not standing on a stage or reading the latest scientific studies. What touches me most is watching real faces and real lives transform from anxiety and depression into calmness and peace. Today, I'd like to share a few stories with you so you can see for yourself that these 10 practices are not just beautiful ideas. They are living paths that have helped many people walk out of suffering and into freedom. Story 1. The woman who couldn't sleep for 10 years. I remember Anne, now in her 70s. She told me, "I've been taking sleeping pills for nearly 10 years, every night. But the more I take, the more I feel chained to that bottle." We started with the simplest thing. Breath. I told her, "Tonight, instead of forcing yourself to sleep, just breathe. Inhale and count 4, hold 4, exhale 4, pause 4. If the mind wanders, gently return to the breath." The first week, she still couldn't sleep. But something changed. She no longer feared the long nights. After a month, she began sleeping for a few hours without pills. And after 3 months, she told me with trembling voice, "For the first time in 10 years, I slept through the night with nothing but my own breath." Science explains this well. Focusing on the breath reduces activity in the amygdala, the brain's fear center. The body shifts into recovery. But beyond the research, what mattered most was Anne's discovery. She was no longer a victim of insomnia. She became the creator of her own peace. Story 2. The businessman burdened by control. Another student of mine was Robert, in his 50s, a successful businessman. He came to me exhausted, saying, "I've made money, yes, but my mind never stops. I try to control my employees, my family, even things far beyond my reach." Together we practiced letting go. I told him a Buddhist story about a boat bumping into yours in the middle of a river. If you think someone is steering it, you grow angry. But if you realize it's an empty boat drifting, you remain calm. Life is the same. Many bumps are not personal, they are just the flow of things. I gave him a simple mantra. I release, I trust the flow. Whenever tension rose, he would breathe deeply and whisper it. Months later, he told me, "I still run my company, but I no longer try to bend everything my way." Strangely, things actually run more smoothly. Science again confirms this. When we reduce resistance and learn acceptance, the brain produces serotonin and endorphins, chemicals that brighten our mood and sharpen our clarity. Story 3. The grieving mother in compassion. Linda lost her only son in a sudden accident. She fell into depression, shutting herself off from the world. When she joined my class, she barely spoke. I didn't give her long lectures. I simply invited her to place her hand over her heart and whisper, "May I be at peace. May I be healed." Week after week, she repeated those words. One day, she broke down in tears. For the first time in years, I feel my heart softening. Compassion doesn't mean instantly forgiving or erasing pain. It's like knocking gently on a locked door again and again until it opens. In time, Linda not only re-entered life, she later became a volunteer, helping others who had lost loved ones. Research shows compassion meditation increases activity in brain regions linked to empathy and social connection. But beyond science, it gave Linda what no medicine could, a softened heart. Story 4. The cluttered room and the cluttered mind. Then there was James, 65 years old. His room was full, papers stacked everywhere, drawers overflowing, dozens of tabs open on his computer. He said, "My head feels just like this room. A mess. I can't think straight." I didn't give him a complex technique. I simply told him, "Tomorrow, clear out one drawer, just one." He did. Then he cleaned a corner of his desk, a shelf, and another drawer. After a few weeks, his room looked spacious, and he said with surprise, "When my space is clear, my mind feels lighter too." Psychologists call this the synchronization between outer and inner order. By simplifying the outside, the mind naturally learns to simplify inside. And James realized peace is not just found in meditation. It also comes from creating room for it to enter. Story 5, a personal lesson from nature. Finally, let me share a personal story. Each morning, I take a walk in the park. One day, I saw a yellow leaf fall into the stream. It floated away without resistance, not clinging to the branch it once belonged to. I stood there and thought, this is letting go. I reflected on my own life, on losses, on people I had tried so hard to hold on to. My pain was not only from loss itself, but from the clinging. That small leaf taught me, true freedom comes when we allow ourselves to flow with the current, not against it. Biological research shows that spending time in nature synchronizes our heart rhythms and brain waves. Natural settings increase alpha waves in the brain, associated with deep relaxation. But we don't need data to know this. Step outside, breathe under the trees, and you'll feel it for yourself. You see, peace is not far away. It's not abstract. It has been experienced and proven, not only by science, but by ordinary people like Anne, Robert, Linda, James, and even me. The key is, they began. They dared to try one breath, one step, one small practice. And from that, their lives transformed. In the final part, I want to show you how to weave these 10 practices into a daily path of living. So you're not just learning about peace, but truly living it moment by moment. My dear friends, we have now walked through 10 gateways to inner peace: the breath, observing thoughts, simplicity, gratitude, compassion, letting go, stillness, single tasking, connecting with nature, and no longer identifying with our problems. You may be wondering, how can I possibly remember and practice all of these in my busy life? The answer is, you don't need to do everything at once. Peace is not a giant project to be completed in a single day. Peace is a habit, a way of living. One breath, one choice, one step at a time. 1. Turning the 10 practices into a daily rhythm, I often tell my students, divide your day into 3 moments: morning, midday, and evening. In each moment, choose just one practice. In the morning, before you touch your phone, place your hand on your belly and take 3 slow, conscious breaths. That's your reminder. Today, I live with my breath, not with my stress. At midday, when work and tasks start to feel overwhelming, give yourself 5 minutes to simplify. Close a few browser tabs, clear a corner of your desk, or simply whisper, "I will do one thing at a time." At night, before you sleep, write down 3 things you are grateful for. It doesn't matter how small: a smile, a cup of tea, a sunset. With that, you send a clear signal to your brain. The day was enough. I can rest now. 3 small acts a day. That is already the beginning of peace. 2. The power of repetition. Neuroscience tells us it takes about 21 to 66 days to form a new habit, which means if you repeat these small practices daily, your brain will literally rewire itself. Just as muscles grow stronger with exercise, the mind becomes calmer with practice. Mindful breathing, observing thoughts, gratitude. These are your mental workouts. Over time, peace stops being an effort and starts becoming second nature. 3. Where science and Buddhism meet. Some people ask me, "Teacher, how do I know these practices truly work, and not just because I believe in them?" I always smile and say, you don't need to believe me, try them and see. But if you like science, there's plenty of proof. Mindfulness meditation reduces anxiety symptoms by up to 40%. Gratitude practice increases happiness by around 25%. Time in nature lowers cortisol, the stress hormone, measurably. What the Buddha taught 2,500 years ago, that peace is in the breath, in the present moment, is now being confirmed in labs and hospitals around the world. 4. A journey, not a destination. Please remember this. Peace is not a fixed state. It is a journey. There will be days when your mind feels clear and open, and days when it feels clouded again. That is normal. Don't punish yourself. Don't expect perfection. Simply return to one practice, one breath, one pause, one moment of gratitude. Like learning to play an instrument, some days the notes will sound clumsy, but as long as you keep playing, the music grows smoother. Peace grows the same way, through patience, not perfection. 5. An invitation. I say this to you with all my heart. You deserve to live in peace, no matter your age or your past. Peace is not a privilege for the few. It is our natural birthright. If you are hearing my words now, give yourself permission to begin. Not tomorrow, not when life is easier, but now. Take one deep breath. Tonight, write 3 things you are grateful for. Tomorrow, walk a little slower and notice the ground beneath your feet. Do these small things, and you will realize peace has never left you. 6. Connection and sharing. This channel, Breath Journey, exists to remind you of that truth and to give us a place to walk this path together. I don't want you to be just a viewer. I want you to be part of a community where we share, listen, and support one another on the way back to stillness. If you find this video helpful, please consider subscribing, not just for numbers, but so that each week when you open YouTube, you'll receive a gentle reminder to breathe, to pause, to return to yourself. Leave a comment below and share your experience. Your story might inspire someone else who is struggling tonight. And if you know a friend who needs peace, share this video with them. As I often tell my students, a mindful breath doesn't just heal you, it also heals those around you. Thank you for being here with me today. May you be happy. May you be at peace. May you be free from suffering. This is Breath Journey, and this journey begins with your very next breath.